What's going on, everyone? So there is clearly something up with the tarot cards that Tillie tries to use to help give Fstima some answers. So quick little rundown. I did a full deep dive into that sequence in a previous video. So if you want more in-depth analysis as well as just kind of conversation, go check out that video after this video, of course. But just to kind of give you a quick rundown, Fstima gets caught by Tillie eating the rotten vegetables. Tillie basically relays to Fstima that, hey, I used to lick eggshells to kind of build that connection, to kind of have somebody to talk to. Fstima really opens up, kind of has this breakdown moment where she talks about how scared she is and how happy Ellis looks, and she just doesn't want to ruin this for him, but she's terrified, she's scared, she has so many questions, so worried and concerned about the baby. And Tillie relays, well, let's get some answers. And she reveals that she has this deck of tarot cards that was given to her by a friend, in which she now knows how to read and she can use to kind of get some answers. That the deck of cards basically foretold her future, even Fromville, even her going to Fromville, but she just wasn't educated enough on the matter at the time in order to really grasp it and understand it, where now she is much more educated. And they go to try to use the tarot cards, and Fromville puts a stop to that, or as far as we know, appears to put a stop to that. They go to lay out the cards, flip the first card over, and a crow ends up hitting the window as like a, hey, see what you're doing right now? You should probably not do that. Let's reel it back. You know, don't do that. Go about your business, go about your day. And they chose to ignore that. And the crow comes crashing in, and it's chaos and crazy and hectic as like a, hey, we warned you. And I also thought it was very interesting that the crow ends up landing on Elgin, or like at Elgin's feet, which he really ties into Fstima and the baby and all that. But what I want to talk about and kind of dive into in this video is the idea of witchcraft and magic, and maybe even that being a tool to help in this experience in Fromville, as well as maybe potentially even giving you a way out. Now, for some people that may be skeptical in that regard, the entire Fromville is magic. I mean, literally, you have magical trees that take you anywhere. You have monsters. You have these literal supernatural. So the idea that magic doesn't exist in that place is silly. It is sillier to believe that magic wouldn't help or that it doesn't exist than to believe that the opposite, right? Because, again, you see it every single episode. Magical trees, plants, and vegetables and stuff just magically appearing, right? Like, you see magic constantly in Fromville. So to think that you can't wield that magic in order to use it to your strength and advantage, I think is silly, right? Could there be, or maybe even Tillie herself, a witch? Or could someone themselves kind of become a witch and potentially use magic to an advantage, right? Use magic on the offensive or maybe even defensive side of things. And maybe even potentially use magic to get out, right? Especially if you can grasp and harness and figure things out. I mean, you have like sacrifices and all kinds of stuff. Magic is a thing in Fromville. Right, so the fact that the tarot cards, Fromville was doing everything in their power to prevent that from happening. Continuous, like, gave you the warning. Oh, you didn't listen? Okay, watch what happens. If I'm Tillie and I'm Fstima, but more so if I'm Tillie, because Fstima might look at it as like, I have a baby, I don't want to risk the child. But if I'm Tillie, I'm taking that deck. Who knows if she already has? Maybe she has. We don't know. Again, what if Fstima is a witch? Or not Fstima, Tillie. What if Tillie is a witch? Why? What if she is, bruja, practicing different magic and using tarot cards and stuff? But if I'm her, I'm continuing to push, right? I am pushing hard because Fromville clearly did not want you dabbling in that. Fromville clearly did not want you messing with those tarot cards, right? So clearly, and you had these two polarities, right? Like, you had Tillie who truly believed in these things, that believed that they could foretell and actually worked. And then you had the counter side of that, where you had Fstima, who was somebody that thought it was a joke and was offended that Tillie, she wasn't scared, she was offended and felt like Tillie was mocking her, right? So it's somebody that didn't believe in that by any means. So you had these two polar opposites, and you saw that dynamic. And it also makes you really want to know, what did the cards say, right? Like, what were the answers to the questions, right? And so, to me, if I'm Tillie, I wouldn't do it in the house, just because clearly, again, they don't want you to use those things, and you don't want to endanger everybody else. So, to me, I'm walking to the barn or something like that. I'm sitting down, and I am using those cards to see if that can give me some answers, right? And then, if I can, I relay that to Boyd or somebody and try to see if you can utilize that, maximize that, right? Maybe Tillie could end up being a key piece and figure into getting out of Fromville, right? It's very possible that, if Tillie can figure out how to harness some form of magic, or through the tarot cards, maybe get some answers that can kind of guide you, and even kind of use that as like like in a video game where you have like the two paths, and then the prompt comes up that's like, do you want to do this or do you want to go that? And you can kind of use those prompts to make an educated decision. Well, what if you did something like that with the tarot cards, where you have the tarot cards like, hey, is there food in the woods? Well, let's find out. Like, is there this, right? Should we go this way or that way, right? And you kind of use that to your advantage. I just think that there's clearly something up with Tillie, right? Did another video diving into that in and of itself, and kind of explored different theories, but kind of the main theory that I dove into in that was the idea that maybe Tillie returned to Fromville, that maybe she was somebody that had gotten out previously, right? Because who's to say Tabitha's the only person to ever get out, especially with how old we know minimum Fromville has been around since the 1500s, and probably longer, right? So Fromville could be there from the beginning of time. So it makes sense that others would have gotten out at some point. And Tillie may have been one of those people that had gotten out. Maybe that's also why she knew the tarot cards would work. Maybe that's also how she knew certain things, right? There's just been a lot of strange things with Tillie. Right? Even when she gets off the bus, she's like dancing in the rain and just being all kooky. Right? Even Fstima calls her out on it. And when she tries to present tarot cards, right? So there's clearly something going on with Tillie. Is it just she is that kooky old lady? It's always a possibility. Maybe she just is a little out there. Or maybe she is a witch. Or she has familiarity. And or you can kind of use her to kind of dabble into the dark arts, maybe. Maybe she's even responsible for some of the things in Fromville. What if she was a witch and was there prior and used dark magic and stuff like that? And you kind of go down this road. Again, like, for those that might think like, like it's a little silly to kind of go. Again, all of Fromville is literally magic. All of Fromville is literally magical. It's like, if this was some stationary place where there weren't monsters and stuff like that, sure. But this is something where every single day these people are dealing with magic. From trees to, portals into the real world, to ghosts and monsters and you name it, right? Like, there's a little bit of everything. Pick your poison, right? Like, but there is clearly a reason Fromville wanted them to stop. There is clearly a reason Fromville pushed to get them to knock that off. And why else would you do that unless it worked? Unless you would have gotten answers. And look, maybe it's not even so much, maybe they don't care so much that the cards work as they do that maybe they just didn't want Fstima to get answers. Right? Because, look, there's something up with Fstima. She clearly is, either the baby seems corrupt or she's becoming corrupt, right? Now, there are conditions where people, especially pregnant, will develop an eating disorder in which, you know, maybe that's what it is. That's kind of what Tillie was trying to get at and trying to, like, comfort Fatima with. But, you know, there's a reason that crow came. And it was clearly an omen, right? And they're trying to, again, it hit the glass, left. They start playing again, and boom, it crashes through. They're not coincidences. That thing showed up right at that time for that. Again, it was, hey, stop doing that. Knock it off. You see what you're playing with? Yeah, we're not doing that here. And then they just kept pushing, and it was like, okay, all right, let me show you. And boom. All right, all of a sudden, lo and behold, there you have it. So, I definitely think this is interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if Tillie is a witch and practices magic and all kinds of stuff, or, you know, maybe they kind of evolve her into one. They kind of utilize her and her whatever minimal knowledge that she has in that regard. A lot of ways that you can go about this. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, like, yeah, like, look, clearly something magical going on. Clearly they didn't want Fatima and Tillie to use those tarot cards. So something's up. Something is afoot, right? Or do you think, like, nah, like, you know, maybe it was just coincidence. Maybe it had to do with something else. Do you believe that maybe they can harness and use magic to their advantage? You know, or do you think that's silly? Again, I don't really understand. I don't know why anyone would really push back on that, considering, like, if you watch the show again, the entire place is magic. But as always, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions, whether we agree, disagree, somewhere in between. That's the fun. That's the beauty of it all. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.